Hi, this is Votan, and I'm back. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about just some of the things that I've been up to and some of the changes that have occurred due to external circumstances, and just sort of talk a little bit about some of the things that I've been thinking about. So, recently, I had some work and it was pretty intensive days. I talked a little bit about it, but one thing I noticed was the presence of work sort of prompted me to change the way I thought about things a little bit. Because instead of, locking myself in my room, not really, but, focusing more intently on my own interior world, my own inner world, focusing on myself and changing that so I'm doing customer service, I'm talking on the phones, I'm meeting people, I'm taking the bus, and really a lot more external. It was clear that the pattern of my thoughts began to change, and I began thinking about other things, and um, there's so much going on in the world. There's the news, there's sports. I mean, we just had the Super Bowl a couple days ago, and there's people you encounter different people and they have their problems and they start talking about what's going on with them, and so instead of thinking about yourself and your problems, you're thinking about someone else and their problems. And when you have work, you have to think about your job duties, you have to think about doing a good job, and so it's very different. And I knew that, but it's just a little bit jarring each time I sort of intensely focus on myself or focus on one thing and then trying to shift gears. So that initial stage between as you're shifting is a little bit uncomfortable. And I've spent pretty much my whole life external, doing this, doing that, pleasing this person, doing something for someone else, with whatever the boss wants, or whatever your teacher wants, or your parents wants, and I've known that. I've that seems like that's the way the world works, and that's usually how it does work. But I'm trying to take my life into a different direction, and I don't really want all of that stimulus, the external direction, outward direction of the energy. Um, I want to focus my energy on not really fixing myself, but improving myself, and growing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, becoming a better person, more loving, more compassionate, and this is hard work. And whenever I'm distracted, I find that I have a hard time pulling myself back and making myself do these internal pursuits, to journey back inside again. It seems like it's so much easier just to fill up my time with entertainment and talking with other people and doing this and doing that. But ultimately, it's unsatisfying and it doesn't get me anywhere. I really need, to make any sort of lasting changes, I really need to make it at the level of my mind, the level of my thoughts, my personalities, of my emotions, and I then I recognize this. So I'm trying to avoid a lot of these sort of promptings. I can't avoid them entirely. I still, I'm on my computer and I check my email, or I have apps on my phone that I download the news, so I don't spend that much time on it. But I look at it a little bit. So I'm not completely cut off. I also have a roommate, and I talk with her once in a while, and she likes to tell me her problems, and so I listen and I try to give her suggestions or whatever. So I'm not completely cut off, but I've been able to manage my focus pretty well and maintain it on myself. And like yesterday, because my job ended a couple weeks ago, and I've been enjoying not having a job, although I know that the longer I wait not to have a job, the more urgently I'll need a job because my money will have run out. Still have a little bit left. And yesterday the recruiter called me, he's like, oh, we have a job for you. And he listed a couple jobs. And I told him I'd have to think about it, but then I was thinking while I was doing my quantum speed reading training, that wouldn't be too bad. It would be 2 months, but it would be a job where I'd have a lot of time to myself. And I'm thinking, that I could work, and it would be an excuse. It would put like my mom and some other people at bay because I'd have a job. And then I'd still have time to either work on A Course in Miracles or do visualization, or I could still work on myself. I would just have to cram some of the other things that I needed to do earlier in the day because it would be 4:10s. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So I emailed him back, and he's like, oh, it's already been taken. So I was like, okay. And then the other one, I didn't want it because it was all these duties of like it was a similar job, but it was quite different in that it was much more involved, and it involved certain aspects that I didn't want. And so, and some of the other jobs that he gave to me were also unacceptable. So I kind of felt like either I missed my chance because I needed to think about the issue, or was it sort of like one of those tests that one is given in life, and whether you take it and you forget what you're doing, or you stay true to your path and you maintain it. And I'm not sure which one it was, but afterwards I kind of felt disappointed, but then shortly after that I felt relieved. I'm like, I have my time back, and I can do what I need to be doing, and I can be doing it continue with gusto and focus. So I think I'm going to have to face a lot of challenges with people trying to take my energy away from myself. And I can go with it, or I can be stubborn, I guess, and try to stick with myself, because I think I'm getting close to where I want to go, to where I want to be. I'm already feeling a lot of positive results, not exactly to the level I had hoped or in the manner that I sort of foresaw, but still nonetheless I can feel a lot of positive changes occurring, and it's still in this tender stage, and I need to continue to nurture it and make it grow even more. So I'm happy that I don't have a job right now, and I want to keep going, keep continuing along this path, and try to remain focused. I've joined 3 A Course in Miracles study groups in my area, and it's been great. All 3 are very different. They all have very different formats, different people attend. And the 3rd one, I almost didn't want to go back just because it felt like everyone had so many problems. But I think that would be good for me to, rather than have aversion, like one particular one, I had kind of a strong aversion towards one particular person. It's kind of a pattern in my life, and I don't want to hold on to that. I want to break it and replace it with love and understanding for the other person. And so I think I'm going to go back and use it as an opportunity to improve myself, to let go of a lot of petty thoughts that I have and replace it with peace and good wishes towards the other person. So I think in that regard, these 3 meeting groups aren't really an external focus. I'm still focused on my spiritual pursuits, and I get the benefit of having other people's experience and perspective, so I know how to think about certain things that I'm confused about, or at least what other people would think about it. And it's sort of interesting that there are sort of like-minded people nearby that also are trying to discover the truth of God's world and God's law, and where we fit into it, and how we can reduce the ego enough to really live in the presence of the Holy Spirit. So definitely happy about that. In terms of my previous resolve to double up on my quantum speed reading and visualization and emotional work, I haven't really got around to that. I've just somehow been distracted. One thing or another has sort of distracted me from that, and I haven't quite figured out where the distractions are coming from. But it's one thing or another. I'm sort of going with it. I still have the minimum requirements, which is my quantum speed reading practice, which is 1.5 to 2 hours a day. I have my 2-hour meditation that I split up. Then I have 1 in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. My journal writing and diary has been pretty consistent, at least the dreams, although yesterday I didn't report any, but today I did. And actually today's dream was sort of interesting, and it sort of dovetailed a little bit with what the lesson, my Course in Miracles lesson was yesterday. It was, and it sort of had a multiple layered meaning, kind of a metaphysical, spiritual backdrop that you can interpret it that way, which is definitely promising, because most of my dreams in the past have always been very mundane and boring and uneventful. So that's good. It seems like my work is reaching on deeper levels of my psyche. As far as my diary writing, it's tailed off, unfortunately, but there's been this past week a couple days where I spent a couple of hours writing, and that's been good in response to certain things. Yesterday I didn't write in it at all. My Vimala alphabet recording writing has been less than adequate. I'm still doing it. I received more materials from them yesterday and some PDFs, which are nice. So I have some printouts so I can really practice the letters properly. There's certain letters that, because when I write in my journal, I've been trying to write with the new alphabet, and so it definitely slows down my writing because I'm not familiar with writing the letters yet. Plus they have certain rules about how you have to break up words and have ligatures and things like that, and all of these things require thought, and because it's not totally in my rote memory yet, and so I have to think about it while I'm thinking about what I'm writing, and sometimes I mess up, but keep trying. But my writing in this style has definitely increased since I started doing it at the beginning of last month. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to talk about for right now. There's more to say, but I think that's the main thing. I just want to keep it clear that I'm still going, but my focus has changed a little bit, and I'm trying to reduce my distractions and get more focused on what I need to be doing. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.